what could be considered, I think it would probably be hundreds of thousands of dollars of liability, and that would end up with us having to then hire more counsel if indeed our insurance carrier did not cover us.
Okay.
And what I am saying is
Okay,
that at
Liz.
this point in time, if we don't end up with an amicus curiae brief, and please realize that this is a document that then supports the position of the town. The town voted to accept this bid. The town voted for it. And in effect, that was at a time when Supervisor Wrights and Councilmember Yee had initially wanted to have a different carting company,
Liz.
the
All right,
AWS.
you're out of order. Can we
No,
have...
I'm not
can I
at all,
have-
Liz,
because
the
what
hour's
happened
getting
was
late.
that,
Thank you.
what happened was that,
The
we
hour's
just
getting
heard
late.
from
Councilman
Councilmember
Yee and other
Yee,
colleagues want to
Councilmember Yee,
Ms. Hudak,
Councilmember Yee,
Your
that it was an
filibuster is
$860,000
inappropriate
extra amount of
Liz,
money.
please
So
take your
I can
seat
say what it was.
and allow others to speak.
And actually, so
Please
what happens
take your
is,
seat
you now
and allow others
have, you
to
now
speak.
have
Ms.
the
Hudak,
fact
thank you.
that,
Please.
we now have.
Please, Liz.
No,
Allow
I'm
others to
just,
speak
no,
and
I
end your
I
filibuster.
want to be able
Thank you.
to speak. You know why
Liz,
they
you've
are
spoken
stopping
all
me
night.
from speaking?
'Cause we want
they
the
know
floor.
what I'm saying is true. And you know something? All I know is
absurd.
they speak endlessly,
Liz,
too.
that's absurd.
But you need to hear the truth. The truth of
Yes.
the matter is that when it was said that there was an $860,000 extra, that in the first instance, what Councilmember Yee and Supervisor Wrights wanted to do was that they wanted to have AWD, who was the prior Carter, go for one more year. And now that would have
For
been
one
the
more
end
month,
of... No, it was
Liz.
not
For
one
one
more
more
month.
month.
And this is well documented. This is in...
Yes,
Just
it's
look
well
it up.
documented.
You can
That's
find out
right.
how disingenuous the
Ms.
supervisor's
Hudak,
comments
may we
are.
have the floor
And what
now,
then-
please?
And what then happened... No, you
Thank
can't.
you.
And what then happened was that they then switched to the lowest bidder, AAA. Now realize that if, and as a matter
We
of
didn't
fact,
switch. They were the lowest bidder.
Supervisor Wrights, no, they went from the highest bidder, who was AWD,
There was no
to
bid.
the lowest bidder, who was AAA. After they wanted
Liz, your facts are
AWD
wrong
to
and the
continue.
hour is
The facts are
late.
not wrong.
They are
And the
wrong.
bottom line
You
is,
didn't switch
this
from
has
a
been
high
said
bidder.
over and over again. But guess
We
what?
recommended the
If they had
lowest
followed,
bidder.
if we had followed if the town board at that time had followed for AWS or AWD, the highest bidder, just for the 1 year, we would have been at this part of the time rebidding. And you know what would have happened, everyone? AWS became part of Suburban Carting, Santa Pro. So in effect, we would have then had these other bids come in, which probably would have been a lot higher because the bidder,
Probably.
the garbage
You're out of
carter
order,
would have
Ms.
then
Hudak.
added
This
in
is
whatever
history.
inflation. We
Let's
have
wrap it
this
up.
amount of money that's
The garbage
locked in for 3
contract
years.
is not on the agenda
So the
today.
answer really, it's not.
So
but-
let's
But
write.
actually,
So
but
let's
this was
move on.
brought up, this was not brought up by me, it was brought up by the supervisor.
Okay, Ms. Hudak, may I
I
have
didn't
the
want
floor,
to go
please?
here either, and you're not getting the floor until I stop.
Well, when you
So
make
the
trouble,
answer
please,
really
can I
is-
have the floor,
The answer
please?
really is, when I stop, you can certainly,
no.
if the supervisor permits you, you can have the floor. So once
have the
again,
floor,
where we
Supervisor.
are right now is...
You've been recognized
We
by
are
the
going
chair.
Thank you.
what
May I
I
have
am
the floor?
asking
Thank
is
you.
for a
Can I have
motion
the floor now?
that I want to
Councilman
send
Yee
out
has
the
the floor.
advertisement for...
Thank you.
for
The chair
the
has
request
recognized
for
me.
The hour is
proposals.
late.
The chair has
And that
recognized me.
request for
And the
proposals...
chair has recognized Councilman
Please, here,
Yee.
look up your Robert's Rules of Order, which you voted on
The chair has
tonight, because
The chair
you're
has
recognized
wrong.
recognized
Here it
Councilman
is,
Yee.
Robert's Rules of
And
Order.
you've been
Please
speaking
look at
for
it.
quite some
I think we
time,
all
Liz.
should make some gifts
Please,
to the
let's
town
move
board members
ahead.
of Robert's Rules.
Please, let's move ahead.
So what I'm asking for is because
Let's move
there
ahead,
needs to
Liz.
be an amicus curiae brief
Councilman
filed
Yee has the floor.
in order to
Let's
protect the
move ahead.
town, and the town
Yes.
will
By
be
law,
then
I chair these
protected also
meetings,
by damage,
and the
for
chair
any
has
damages.
recognized
And the chair
Councilman
who
Yee.
chairs these meetings should
So what we
be
need to
polite and
do is,
respectful, and one day
respectfully,
actually
is to
read
move
the
on.
Robert's Rules of Orders. But that being said, once again, I am making a motion for the motion that we advertise for proposals for appellate legal services in our official newspaper so that we can now move forward expeditiously to have someone represent the town in this very most important litigation, this appellate litigation to the Court of Appeals. If we do not do this, according to what I just heard from the supervisor, we may face a multiple 100,000, if not more, lawsuit by AAA Carting.
May.
If indeed,
You did not hear
if
that from me,
indeed,
Liz. You heard
I
that
did
from
not hear that.
counsel.
I said town council.
No, you didn't.
Unfortunately,
You said supervisor.
Supervisor Wrights is not the town council. I don't know if he is a council. What I do know
She's
is that
insane.
I
Is
asked,
she okay?
I asked Willis
I don't know.
Stevens,
Is she
who I
right?
think is the town council. Well, you can
You have
just
a
look it up
figure?
again on the
Is she okay
table.
with
So
it?
that's
You
what I
all
would like to do. So the advertisement for
Is she okay?
proposals would be, notice is hereby given that the town of Southeast, the town, will be accepting sealed proposals for appellate legal services in connection with the matter entitled AAA Carting and Rubbish Removal, Inc. versus Town of Southeast, yes it is, et al., currently pending in the Court of Appeals of the State of New York, including preparation of any motions necessary to establish amicus curiae status if necessary, preparation and filing of all briefs and/or memoranda of law, and oral argument before the court. Proposals will be received by the town clerk of the Town of Southeast, Town Hall, 1360 Route 22, Brewster, New York, 10509, until 2:00 p.m. local prevailing time on January...
You have to get it in the newspaper, so we won't get it,
mean, I
it
guess
won't be advertised until next week, so it'll have to be the following.
until the following week?
Okay, have you
Until
finished?
January 20...
What kind of motion is this?
Until January 20th, 2011, and then said
She's reading
proposals shall be
RFP.
publicly opened and read aloud.
This is out
This is
of,
government by
The
ambush.
rest of
Liz.
the rest of the advertisement for proposals, the request for proposals, can be reviewed tomorrow, but that is the motion that I am making, that request for proposals move forward.
Councilman Yee has the floor.
Second by Cullen?
Thank you.
That was a
Okay.
motion, wasn't it?
Councilman
It was,
Yee
they
has
did
the
make
floor
a
for
motion.
discussion.
Motion, and
Thank you.
Bob, you seconded?
Councilman Yee has the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. This item is item number 30. It's an amicus curiae brief. If those of you who don't know what that means, I'll give you the definition.
We understand.
It is a brief presented by someone interested in influencing the outcome of a lawsuit, but who is not party to it. Okay? What has happened here is our garbage contract, everyone thought was a dead issue, is going to be reviewed by the state's highest court, the Court of Appeals. And that's between two private sector vendors. Thank you.
No, you be quiet.
Thank you.
That's the public meeting. I can't hear what they're saying. Be distracted from your voice.
Thank you. Are you on one of our boards, sir? Are you one of the
have
Town of
order.
Southeast boards? Could you just, thank you. She's asking for quiet. So the first mistake this town made was selecting for the garbage contract a higher bidder. Normally in a bidding process, whether it's in the private industry or the town, you put out bids for proposals, you look at all the bids, you pick the most responsible bidder. The low bidder in this case was AAA Carting, then there was a higher bidder, and the higher bidder cost the town over $900,000, and that includes legal fees. That case has progressed from last year, went to the appellate division, where the appellate division ruled that it's okay for the town to spend as much as they would like, as long as it's not illegal. So that case was solved there. The state's highest court, Court of Appeals, has now taken on this case and wants to review it. What Ms. Hudak has suggested this evening is to present this amicus curiae brief, which I stated to you earlier was a brief presented by someone interested in influencing the outcome of a lawsuit, but who is not part of it. I would then have to ask, what is the benefit of this town to pursue this matter? In other words, if this town is to pursue this matter, and I won't vote for it, is to protect and to continue to pay over $900,000 to a higher bidder. If we just leave it alone and let the two private vendors sort it out, that's what it's all about. There's an attorney, pardon me, there's a letter from their attorney stating that they may sue the town for damages. We don't know if that's true. That could be an idle threat. Attorneys do what they do to influence how a town is going to vote. My influence, and I ask again this town board, what is the benefit to prepare this brief? And the only benefit I can see is that we're going to maintain the higher bidder for almost $900,000. If we leave it alone and the low bidder wins, they get the contract, town saves $900,000. That's close to $1 million. So the first mistake prior town board made was to select the higher bidder. It is now percolated to this point where it went to the Putnam County Supreme Court, it went to the appellate division in Brooklyn, and it's now going to the highest court in New York State. Something doesn't smell right. $900,000 for an excess contract doesn't make sense. Didn't make sense on his face. We fought it left and right.
I'm sorry.
This is an important matter, considering this community. How money is being spent. And I've said it over and over again. $1 million for a garbage contract to take the contents of your garbage and put it in the back of a truck. The low bidder was a responsible vendor. They serve communities in Putnam County as well as Westchester County. See, that was specious on his face when they said, well, it wasn't a responsible vendor. It was. I've battled this, and I will continue to battle it. If this is covering for a mistake that the prior town board made, which you were not part of, Ms. Hudak, and neither were you, Mr. Cullen, I would ask you strongly to silence yourself and let it play out so that this community can save $900,000. You were not a member of that vote, and yet I suddenly see you percolating in defense of it. And the issue I have going forward in light of the corruption scandal that happened within this county within a month is that the higher bidder, attorney's firm, was represented by Curtis and Vincent Leibel, the former state senator, who has embarrassed this community. I will not have this community embarrassed any further. $900,000 of your money, and mine, because I live in this community, should not be spent like that. And that's why this mistake is being made. And that's why I'm arguing it. And that's why this brief, which states, presented by someone interested in influencing the outcome of a lawsuit, but who is not party of it. Okay? We should leave it alone.
I would like the floor here. First of all, we've had this discussion many, many times, but as usual, the supervisor and his buddy are throwing sand in your eyes, and there's fluff here. First of all, the supervisor in this room a year and a half ago or a year ago encouraged AAA, it's on tape, to sue the town. Can you imagine that? A responsible elected official encouraging a suit against our town. Now, I have the floor. Thank
I know,
you.
but speak the truth
that is
then.
totally
Speak the
irresponsible.
truth
Number
then.
one, okay? Now, the second piece I'd like to make is he keeps bringing up this AAA as a responsible bidder. As a responsible individuals elected, I would think that you would be ashamed to recommend a company which had no permit to operate in Putnam County. They never should have been considered in the first place. They were illegally operating in this county. Secondly, they had unfavorable recommendations. That doesn't seem to get any way with you guys. You don't seem to understand the importance of that. They were doing a lousy job. Okay?
I will counter that because I have
I'm
to.
still speaking.
I know, but you're going to make a statement like
I'm
that.
still
Let me
speaking.
counter it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
They were doing a lousy job. We didn't want any part of them, the two risk managers that interviewed the company. The other point is, ladies and gentlemen, they did not even have the trucks to do the job. So they were bidding for a job they could not do. And lastly, and I consider very important, these large trucks going around town, the two risk managers looked at their safety program and it was practically non-existent. Their comments were it was written in crayon. Now, a responsible elected official to pick a company with no permit, unfavorable recommendations, and not even the vehicles to do it is just outrageous. As far as saving money, yes, you're paying a couple of dollars more a month, but you're getting consistent, reliable service. And again, as an elected official, I have responsibility, as does everyone in this town board, to do the right thing for the community at the best price. And to select AAA would have been a dereliction of our duty. And you guys keep bringing it up, and it's terrible. You're elected officials, you've been irresponsible. I suggest we drop it and defend the town for multi-million-dollar suits that could happen.
Okay, let me answer your points here. When you say there was no permit, I give you the analogy, Mr. Gross. Sometimes you drive down,
sticker, right?
Yeah. Sometimes you drive down the road and a registration sticker on your car. As you look down, oh my goodness, it's expired. So you go out, you either get a summons or you get your registration. Okay, AAA Karting has a permit, and they are able to operate in Putnam County as well as Westchester County. As far as the safety record, it was noted in the Supreme Court decision that the Motor Carrier Safety Unit ruled that AAA Karting had a good safety record, and as a matter of fact, the higher bidder, noted in this report, had an accident. Okay? As far as the trucks, like any other company, once you get a contract, you can go out and buy a truck. You don't spend unless you know you have the contract.